Attention listeners, mark your calendars for Colorado Gives Day on December 10th. Support Aftersight and give to the causes you care about. Go to coloradogivesday.org/organizations/aftersight between now and December 10th to make your donation. Hello, and welcome to your BLT Bite. I'm your host, Evan Starnes. And today, we're going to be talking about the VoiceVista Navigation App. But actually, before we get into that, I wanted to share just a little bit of background information on where VoiceVista came from, because it's actually a fork of a very popular navigation app that came out in March of 2018. And it was actually a project started by Microsoft many years ago. I think actually, according to some of the limited research I've done, that project started in 2014, and it was the Soundscape project. And then in 2018, they did roll out the Microsoft Soundscape Navigation App. And for those who don't know, and I'm sure a lot of you do, but for the few who don't, what Soundscape was and is it was an app that uses 3D positional audio to tell you where things are and to help you find points of interest and also explore new and unfamiliar locations. And the way it did that was really cool. So if you were walking, let's say, along a street and a building came up and it was on your left and you had headphones on, you would hear it, that basically the call out of that building on your left side. So there's plenty of demos and discussions about that app on other podcasts and on YouTube and other platforms. So I'm not going to bore you for too long about that. But basically what ended up happening is in 2022, they made it an open source project. And that definitely sparked a little bit of concern on various forums and communities, because where was Soundscape? You know, that basically meant no more Soundscape, at least for the time being. And then it got picked up and rebranded as Soundscape Community. And so it basically kept pretty much all of the same features, and they have done some updates here and there. And that app is still in the App Store today, and you can get it for free on iOS. And that's the thing about Soundscape, it is only available on iOS. There hasn't been an Android version yet, but as of at least as of this year, Soundscape got picked up by Dr. Jianfeng Wu, and it's been rebranded to VoiceVista, the Soundscape Resurrection. Now, VoiceVista has all of the functionality from Soundscape, but also has been slightly redesigned, and they've added some new features, including a big one, turn-by-turn directions. And I have tested this, and it's honestly quite responsive. Now, I don't have a demo of me using that feature, unfortunately, but what I would like to show you today is actually the new VoiceVista app, and we'll take a little bit of a look around. And I wanted to compare the VoiceVista app to the Soundscape app just so you can see the differences between the two. All right, so we're on my iPhone now, and I'll go ahead and open up the classic Soundscape Community app first.
Soundscape. Current location. Button.
Add after sight.
Now, I'll go ahead and show you just a layout of the app real quick.
Menu. Button.
So this should be pretty familiar if you've been a user of Soundscape already.
Sleep. Button.
Got your menu button, your sleep button.
Choose destination. Search field.
A search box.
Places nearby. Button. Markers and routes. Button. Current location. Button. Hear my surroundings. Heading.
So that's basically all part of the search box. So you can effectively search for places, you can search for things around you, you can search for nearby markers or routes, etc.
Choose plate marker current. Hear my surroundings. Heading.
Now this section is where you can get all of the statuses as where you are and what's around you. So you've got the
my location. Button. Around me. Button. Ahead of me. Button. Nearby markers. Button.
Pretty familiar stuff. So that's the Soundscape app as it is and as it pretty much has always been. But let's go ahead and check out
VoiceVista.
So I'm going to go ahead and open it. And it's going to sound very similar to Soundscape. It launches quicker, though.
If you've enabled media controls in the shortcut settings.
Now, as you can tell when we launched that app, there was actually another sound that played. It was kind of like a little stink, like a little metallic-y kind of sound. And that's another one of the really cool updates that the VoiceVista app has added is unique sound identifiers to depict objects. So it has a ping for pedestrian crossings, a different sound for bus stops, for buildings and landmarks. And in fact, kind of like the Blind Square app, if you go into the help section, there's actually a list of all of the possible sounds that it can play so you can familiarize yourself with them. So that's another cool new update I forgot to mention in the beginning here. But let's go ahead and kind of take a look at the app and see what's different here. So now, instead of the menu at the top left, you've got your search bar at the top.
Aftersite.retail about 50 feet. Ahead to
And
the right.
yes, we are at Aftersite, as it announced.
Sleep button.
You have your sleep button to the right.
Surrounding settings button.
Now, this is a cool new menu, so you can actually go in here.
Surround
I
alert.
double tapped.
POI super category options. Walking scenario button. Driving scenario.
So you can
button.
actually depict what it does when you're walking or driving. So in fact, when you're driving, you can even have it mute certain things and even adjust the rate at which it speaks.
Exploring scenario button. Cancel. Cancel button. Walking scenario.
Let's just check out
button.
walking really quick.
Close. Walking. POI super category off. Places. Switch button. On.
So this is basically where you can go in and tell it what you want it to call out as you explore areas. So do you want it to call out every single business that's around you that it finds, or just street names, or absolutely nothing? It's totally up to you. I'm going to go ahead and close out of that menu.
Surrounding settings button.
Swipe right again.
What's my location button.
So that's a pretty self-explanatory button. Now, similarly with Soundscape, you can swipe down on that button.
Mark current.
And you can mark the current location. I do wish that label was a little clearer, but
Share current.
you can share your current location. Swipe right again.
What's around me button. What's ahead of me button.
And all of these buttons have actions, so you can swipe down on these buttons to do other things.
Markers ahead. POIs ahead. Here intersections ahead. List intersections ahead. Activate default.
Now that's really cool. So all of these buttons have context-sensitive actions.
Repeat last callout button. Beacon. Location. 5.38 miles.
Now I do actually have an existing beacon on my home.
Mute all button. Stop beacon button.
I'm actually going to go ahead and clear that
5.38
beacon.
miles.
Stop
Line to the left.
Beacon not started.
Now, this is where it'll show if you've started a beacon on a place that you're tracking. So it'll show how the distance you are from that beacon.
Mute all button.
You can completely mute all of the callouts.
No navigation instruction. Accuracy 43 feet.
It
Button.
also shows the accuracy,
Facing west.
the compass heading.
If you've enabled media controls in the shortcut settings, press the previous button on your headphones to repeat the last callout.
And that is always there at the bottom. And now, check out the very, very bottom. I'm going to continue to swipe right.
Tab bar. Selected. Surroundings. Tab. 1 of 4.
Now, instead of that little navigation menu, we have a little tab bar at the bottom. So obviously the first one is surroundings, which we're in.
Markers. Tab. 2 of 4.
So that's a list of all your markers.
Routes.
Same
Tab.
with routes.
3 of 4.
And
Settings. Tab. 4 of 4.
so as you can tell, they've definitely redesigned this app quite a bit. And in my opinion, I honestly like this new layout. I know for some of you it might take some getting used to, but I think it's a much cleaner and a lot more just straightforward layout. Lastly, before I wrap up this bite, if you'd like to support VoiceVista and its development, they have added an option now where you can join their premium service and pay $1 a month or $9 a year to continue supporting VoiceVista. That being said, paying for the subscription or choosing not to pay for the subscription will not limit your use of VoiceVista at all. You can still keep using it for free, but this is a great way to support this project. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this BLT Bite. Be sure to join us for part 2 of our Travel Tech Tips episode, going beyond the airport and dealing with fun things like hotels and mapping new cities. VoiceVista will definitely help you with those endeavors as well. Anyways, thank you so much for joining us. I am your host, Evan Starnes, and I'll see you next time.